It is once again time for Noir Alley, coming to you from Bar 355 in Oakland, California. I'm your tour guide, Eddie Muller, and today we're headed to a place never before featured on our global noir itinerary, Germany. More specifically, West Germany, where today's film, Schwarzer Kies, or Black Gravel, was made in 1961. This is its first broadcast on TCM, following a restoration in 2017 by Germany's F.W. Murnau Institute. The dialogue is largely in German, but a fair amount of English is spoken as well, given that the story revolves around a U.S. Air Force base being expanded in the German countryside, a strategic point of defense in America's Cold War with the Soviet Union. Soviet soldiers were amassed across the border that was erected in 1949, dividing the country into the Federal Republic of Germany, allied with the West, and the German Democratic Republic, aligned with the Soviets. But like most noir stories with a political backdrop, the focus is less on geopolitics and clashing ideologies than on common people hustling to survive in the margins. This film shows a small community, emblematic of German culture at large, trying to claw its way back from the devastation of World War II, physically and psychically. The town's existence depends on catering to the occupying army, and its economic survival, of course, includes gambling, prostitution, and the black market. Our protagonist is a truck driver, played by Helmut Wild, whose side hustle is selling gravel stolen from the Air Force construction site. The guy is a classic noir anti-hero with a compelling presence that reminds me of American actors like Richard Conte and John Hodiak. When he encounters an old flame now married to a U.S. officer, well, we've all seen enough noir to know where those rekindled sparks will lead, from bad to worse. And when I say worse, I am not kidding. This is an uncompromisingly bleak film. Consider yourself warned. I've spoken many times about German directors who emigrated to America to escape Nazi tyranny. Fritz Lang, Billy Wilder, Robert Siodmak, Kurt Bernhardt, Fred Zinnemann. They're just a few of the refugees who reestablished their careers in Hollywood. The director of Black Gravel is a different story. Helmut Keutner was perhaps the most prolific and critically esteemed writer and director in Germany during the 40s and 50s, but he remains virtually unknown to all but the most ardent cinephiles. That's because he didn't leave Germany. Keutner was largely apolitical and certainly not a Nazi collaborator, but he did work steadily in his homeland during Hitler's reign and afterwards, earning a reputation for sophisticated comedies and dramas. His films were notable for omitting the nationalist propaganda Nazis often shoehorned into the nation's popular entertainment. During the 50s, Keutner made more than his share of Heimatfilme, or homeland films, which were intended to provide reassurance to German audiences looking to regain some measure of solace after the disgrace of Nazism. Keutner did eventually find his way to Hollywood in the late 50s, making a couple of pictures at Universal in the mold of the studio's popular Douglas Sirk melodramas, The Restless Years and A Stranger in My Arms, made back-to-back for producer Ross Hunter. Both starred 15-year-old teen queen Sandra Dee. But Hollywood was a bad fit for Keutner, so in 1959 he returned to Germany. The following year, he teamed up with the excellent writer-producer Walter Ulbricht to create this tough and provocative thriller. Unfortunately, the picture did not sit well with Keutner's countrymen, as I'll explain once we've watched it. This, my friends, is as far as you can get from a Sandra Dee teenage soap opera. It is bleak, brutal, and very adult. It is also a masterpiece. Here is Black Gravel. Endings don't get much darker than that. Much respect to the F.W. Murnau Institute for not only restoring Black Gravel, but replacing two crucial scenes deleted on its original 1961 release. Director Helmut Kointner was forced to lighten up the ending when the distributor declared it too grim. Audiences instead saw Robert leave Inga alone on the side of the road as he drives off toward an uncertain future. Ambiguous and much safer than the soul-crushing finale Kointner intended. Truth is, not that many people saw this film in 1961. Its release was hindered by charges of anti-Semitism brought by members of Germany's Central Council of Jews. They demanded that the scene involving the concentration camp survivor be cut out, arguing it violated the government's prohibition against any demonstration of anti-Semitism. Kointner's intention, of course, was to caution the public that neo-Nazism and its hatred of Jews was still prevalent in Germany, not a popular take at the time. Germany was willfully engaged in communal amnesia, trying to wipe its collective guilt from the national psyche. Now, as an intriguing footnote, I'll just mention that Ingmar Zeisberg, who played Inga, spent 2 years with her mother in an internment camp during World War II, and she would eventually marry Albert Speer Jr., son of the Third Reich's architect and Adolf Hitler's Minister of Armaments and War Production. Black Gravel is clearly the work of a masterful director, but Helmut Kointner garnered no respect in his homeland after making it. In fact, a group of young cinephiles, taking after new wave filmmakers that were emerging in neighboring France and Czechoslovakia, awarded Black Gravel a mock prize in 1961, calling it the year's worst film made by an established director. Well, these young Turks who'd lobby for a new German cinema in their 1962 Oberhausen Manifesto felt the need to critically tar and feather every filmmaker who'd been part of the Nazi-controlled movie industry. Kointner, a stranger in a strange land when he moved to Hollywood, now felt the same way upon returning home. He'd soon quit making feature films, and like many Hollywood counterparts of a similar age, he'd finish his career working in television. Noir Alley won't be returning next week, as TCM has scheduled a full weekend of Christmas cheer. But I'll be doing my own thing not far from here. My annual Noir City Christmas show is December 18th at the nearby Grand Lake Theater, where you can join me in person for a noir-stained Noel. Check out this website for more details. I'll be back at Bar 355 on December 28th, ushering out the final days of 2024 with an all-time classic, The Postman Always Rings Twice. Until then, happy holidays to everyone, and I'll see you in the shadows.
Next on TCM, I Love You Again, then Double Wedding, and later on Borrowed Time. TCM is of the essence tonight.